You are welcome to our lesson from Anim Psychological Services. Remember, at Anim Psychological Services, our motto, God's Word solving human problems, God's Word solving psychological problems. We want to see what God's Word says about the human mind and its depravity and how we are using it less than is intended to be used. There is a passage I read to you in Romans chapter 8 and verse 18 to probably verse 22 or so. Keep that passage. It says, quote, I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Suggesting that presently, humans are suffering. You know you are suffering. I know we are suffering. Our world, everybody complains about suffering. Things are not going well. The whole world is in distress. The whole world is depressed. The whole world is in crisis of all kinds. So this is not new to any one of us. And if we don't think about it this way, then we are not using our minds well. We are not very conscious. The attributes of the mind, we are not putting them to use. Now, from 19 says, the creation waits in eager expectation for the sons of God to be revealed. For the creation was subjected to frustration, not by its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay. So creation is decaying, is in bondage and decaying. And somebody has used his will to subject creation to this condition we are in, and brought into the glorious freedom of the children of God. Creation is waiting to be brought into the glorious freedom of the children of God. I told you God created us as children to give us his mind, his mentality, his vision, his purpose to turn this earth into something heavenly. That is our purpose on earth. And we use our minds and our bodies to accomplish this. So children of God who have the mind of God, creation is waiting upon them to change the circumstances in our world. We know that the whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth right up to the present time. Not only so, but we ourselves we ourselves who have the first fruit of the Spirit groan inwardly as we wait eagerly for our adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies. For in this hope we were saved. So you see, I told you that our minds and our bodies are the tools we use to recreate the world. And these are the tools God gave us. But something has happened to both of these tools. And we are looking at the mind as a tool and the problems that we have subjected it to. Later on, we'll look at the body and how it is also debilitated. So, given this passage and what it says, we see that our circumstances, our world, has been created by our mental capacities that are in depravity. So we don't expect to see any much good in our world, given our mental states as it is now. Matter of fact, we are not in our right minds, and we are not in our right minds at various degrees of malfunctioning. A story is told in Mark chapter 5, verse 1 through to 15, and if you have time, you may want to read, because it tells much about the degree of human mental depravity and what the outcomes could be. So in Mark chapter 5, from verse 1, they went across the lake to the region of the Gerasenes. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an evil spirit came from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain, for He had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. This is physical energy that the man is using. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. This is how somebody is using his mind on his body. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and fell on his knees in front of him. He shouted at the top of his voice, quote, "What do you want with me? Jesus, Son of the Most High God, swear to God that you won't torture me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you evil spirit." Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "My name is Legion," or Legion. He replied, "For we are many." And he begged Jesus again and again not to send them out of the area. A large herd of pigs was feeding on the nearby hillside. The demons begged Jesus, quote, "Send us among the pigs. Allow us to go into them," unquote. These were their words. He gave them permission, and the evil spirits came out and went into the pigs. The herd, about 2,000 in number, rushed down the steep bank into the lake and were drowned. Those tending the pigs ran off and reported this in the town and countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons sitting there, dressed up and in his right mind, and they were afraid. End of passage. The man was dressed up in his right mind, says the scriptures. So then, man can be in his right mind and man can be in his wrong mind. That's the conclusion we can form. When you are in your right mind, how do you function? When you are in your wrong mind, how do you function? This man has taught us some lessons about how minds function, especially when they are influenced by a certain kind of spirit. Whether it's the right spirit or the wrong spirit, good spirit, evil spirit, bad spirit, God's spirit, either of them influence the human mind for good or for bad. According to psychologists, mentally speaking, people are put in three general classes. Those considered normal, those classified as neurotic, and there are those who are psychotic. I'm sure you heard these descriptions before. So, those who are considered normal, what makes them normal human beings? So these are the average folks with daily problems, and each one of us has our problems. On a daily basis, we pay bills, we get tired, we get angry, we feel lonely, we feel frustrated, we go through hassle, we call them micro stresses. But in the midst of all these, we carry on our part of being human, our affairs, with a degree of regularity. Every day, regularly, we keep on paying bills, going through frustrations, and then going through the micro stresses, hassles, and we don't break down. We all have our up and downs. At times we are happy. At times we are not so happy. At times we are not able to reach our goals because we are frustrated. And this is just part of being human. And remember, I explained the word human in my last post. Humus, clay, and man, spirit being, living in a vessel, a clay vessel, an earthenware. The earthenware becomes a big limitation for the spirit that has no limitation. So the spirit struggles in the human vessel. That makes us human. So we go through normal frustrations and vexations in life, and we don't break down. We are able to cope quite well, and we don't break down. We are quite productive. We are fruitful. This is called normal. Now, the WHO gave, and the European Union in 2005 gave a definition of mental health. Find time and locate that definition. But it has to do with one's capacity to be productive and being useful, contributing to oneself, to one's family, and to one's society, and not being dependent on these entities for one's livelihood. So the ability to and the capacity to cope with all the up and downs in life without breaking down and still being productive and contributing to self and others is what constitutes normal mental functioning and normal human life. But then there are those who are classified as neurotic. What is that? They are those who have lost touch with reality. Not so much lost touch with all of reality. Let's put it better. They have not so much lost touch with reality as another group will describe later on. They have not been confined to an institution, although they have some mental challenges or emotional disturbances. They are able to live in society, in homes, and they are able to do some work among others or about other people. But there is a problem. The problem is they are a bit bizarre, or they are a bit odd in their behavior, in their feelings, in their mind functioning. They manifest certain behaviors seen as not quite normal by others. Such persons are characterized by anxiety, worrying, panic attacks that are triggered by things and people that normally don't bother many people. They will be bothered by them and to ruin their day or their happiness. For example, being in a restricted area or in a high place that gives anxiety and panic when many other people don't have that experience of panic and anxiety. When people frequently imagine that they are sick when there's no organic or biologic or physical or medical reason for that disease, but they still feel in their bodies, in their minds, something go wrong. Check medically and nothing goes wrong. This is the kind of description of people we call neurotic or neurotics. They have emotional disturbances, and these emotional disturbances may manifest in physical diseases or disease symptoms. And these are the things that when they come to the psychologist, he's able to determine whether these medical conditions or physical illnesses have pathogens. Pathogens means disease-causing organisms, or they are psychological, emotional in origin. We'll look at the details as we go on in our future episodes. But the third group of people that are classified are the psychotic or psychotics. These have a mental, emotional, and behavioral disorder that require custodial care, and these people need restriction or hospitalization. They need nursing care or medical care. They need psychological treatment or psychiatric care. Otherwise, they cannot function well. And these are those that are kept in psychiatric custodial care or hospitals. Some of them find their way and they become vagrants. They walk around. Some are fugitives. They don't have homes. They don't dress well. They eat anything that is unwholesome. They have lost touch with their minds. They are not very, very conscious of who they are. They've lost identity with who they are. Although they may have some amount of consciousness of their environment. Such persons don't have orientation to time, to place, and to self. And that degree of mental damage is called psychosis. There are many of our relatives, of our religious colleagues and friends, of our work colleagues, our family members, our community dwellers, our city dwellers who have reached this height of mental disturbance, major mental disturbance. And institutions have been taking care, NGOs taking care to take care of them as much as they can. What can we do to bring them back to sanity like Jesus did to the man who had a legion of spirits and no one could control him, no one could pass by him? It took Jesus to bring sanity to that man. What can we do? What can we do to prevent reaching these major mental disturbances, either as neurotics or as psychotics, so we can cope with the stresses of life, so we don't degenerate into psychotic humans? To know more of this, keep following the discussion. Thank you. This is Dr. Michael T. Anim. See you next time.